Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery series. And this week I want to talk to you about what you are seeing when you open up your task manager for the day. Now the thing is, the biggest problem that I am seeing out there these days is just the sheer number of tasks that people are putting into their task manager. Now that's great because you need to collect everything that is important and that you don't want to forget. But the problem is that there are only a certain amount of hours available each day. I mean, you don't have unlimited time. But what we're doing, and what I see a lot of people doing, is believing they have unlimited amounts of time and therefore they can put an unlimited number of tasks into their task manager. We see that's just not going to work. And if you keep trying to do that, you're going to end up feeling incredibly stressed out, overwhelmed, and things are going to break. Now, what I also find is that then people will blame the app and just say, oh, this app doesn't work for me. Well, no, it's never the app's fault. I can assure you it is never the app's fault. You can make any purpose-built task manager work for you. Absolutely no problem at all. The problem is your system, and the problem is you're trying to do too much each day. Now, of course, we can make excuses. Well, I have to do this. My clients demand my attention. My boss is sending me all this work to do, and that's fine. But once again, we come back to this little problem where there's only a certain amount of time available each day. Now, you can never ever change that. That's just the law of the land. It's not the law of the land, but it's the laws of physics. Time is time. You cannot change it. What you can change, and the only thing you can change, is the activity. It's like time and activity. Well, you cannot do anything with time, that's fixed. But what you can do is you can do something about the activity, i.e. the tasks that you're trying to do each day. That's where you have the flexibility. That's where you have a variable number. Now, if you're going to keep trying to do everything, if you're not going to start prioritizing your work, then you are going to feel stressed out, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and ultimately you will have a breakdown. That is just going to happen. So you need to get a lot smarter about the number of activities that you do. Now, probably the best productivity system that has been ever developed was developed, or at least released or became known, in 1918. It was created by a person called Ivy Lee, and it's called the Ivy Lee method, and it's simple. Now, that's part of its problem. Most people think it's too simple, and yet it worked in 1918 and it still works brilliantly today. Now, the idea behind Ivy Lee's method is that you take, first of all, you've got to know what your objectives, your goals, and your purpose in life are. Why are you here? Why are you doing the work that you're doing? If you like, those of you who've taken the time sector course, it's really all about knowing what your core work is. If you don't know your core work, then you're going to end up doing everybody else's work and not doing anything for yourself, and that's not good. So first of all, you need to know what your professional objectives are, your professional goals. What are your personal objectives and your personal goals? What are your areas of focus? What is truly important to you as a person, as an individual, not just as an employee or as a business owner, but also as a family person. How important is your finances, your experiences in life, your lifestyle, your overall purpose in life? These things also come into the mix. You really need to understand what those values are to you, because without that, you will never have any sense of direction and you will always feel like you're catching up. But once you know what your objectives and your goals are and what your aims in life are, then you won't feel like you're catching up. You will feel the opposite. You'll feel like you're making progress every single day. And I can promise you, it is an amazing feeling to have, where no longer do you feel overwhelmed. No longer are you worried about your backlog. The only thing you care about is making progress on your professional, your personal goals, making sure that those are moving forward every day. Now, once you've established that, Then what you need to do is at the end of every day, select 6 things. Now, the number is rather less important than the actual process here. When you're starting out, I would say start out with 6, but the idea here is you've got to find your own balance. So for me personally, I find 10 tasks a day is manageable. I can get 10 tasks done each day, probably 95% of the time. But what you do is, in this particular Ivy Lee method, is you take 6 tasks and you order them in terms of priority. So you write number 1, that's the most important one. Number 2, the second important. Number 3, the third important, and so on, down to the 6 tasks. Just number them. And then when you start your day the next day, you start at number 1 and you do that until it is finished. And then you forget about it and you move on to number 2. And you do the same thing. You do that without going on to number 3 and number 4. You do number 2 until it is finished. Then number 3, then number 4. And then you do repeat that process. So you repeat it at the end of the day. What are my 6 core tasks for tomorrow? Now the thing is, if you don't finish your 6 tasks for the day, that's okay. You take the 2 or 3 tasks that you didn't do and you move forward to the next day. But remember, the limit is only 6. So you've got 3 already that you're carrying forward, so you can only add 3 more to the next day. Now, like I say, if you decide to go down this route, I can promise you, I can guarantee you that your productivity will explode. You will start getting the important things done. So why does the Ivy Lee method work? Well, it works quite simply because it's forcing you to get good at prioritizing. This is where most people are really, really bad. We are terrible at prioritizing, which is why we end up with too many tasks on our task list and we say yes to too many things. You know, no needs to be the default, not yes. Now, I know it's not easy to say no to your customers and clients. I know it's not easy to say no to your boss, but there are things that you can do, and I've covered them in other videos, but you can politely decline to do things. You can excuse yourself from meetings, for example. You know, that's not actually that difficult. You know, you can create appointments with yourself so you have enough time to work on the 6 things. But if you're not prepared to do this, if you're just going to find excuses why you are different, and I can promise you, you are not different, you just think you're different. But if you are going to try and find those excuses about why you are different, then you are going to spend the rest of your working life, probably into your retirement, stressed out, overwhelmed, and not feeling you're making progress on anything. So if you're really, really serious about improving your productivity, making really significant improvements on your life, on your goals, your professional and your personal goals, and you're taking care of those areas of focus that are truly important to you, then really dramatically reduce your daily task list. It doesn't mean that you ignore everything. You can put them in there. One of the workarounds that I have on this is my daily routines. I don't want to forget my daily routines, but they wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world if I didn't do it. So for example, I have a morning routine and I have a closing down routine. You know, they're not part of those 6 tasks. These 6 tasks that I do, as I said, I actually do 10 each day, are meaningful tasks that move my projects forward, whether they're professional or whether they're personal. And that's the habit that you want to get into. It's what the 2+8 is built around, the Ivy Lee method. It's really where the time sector system probably grew from, because it was all about reducing the amount that you're trying to do each day. It's the source of all your productivity and time management problems, is simply you're trying to squeeze in way too many things in that fixed time that you have. And remember, you cannot change the time. You cannot realistically manage time. Like, you can't borrow 4 hours from tomorrow and bring it forward to today. You know, that's not possible. You got those 24 hours. You need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to take care of your personal, like, showers and spend time with your family. So what's left? That's all you've got to play with. So make sure that that time is meaningfully applied to the priorities that you have established are important to you. that's really what I wanted to tell you today. I think it's really important that I get this message across, and over the next few weeks I'm going to write about this. I'm going to do a few more videos hopefully on how to really make this Ivy Lee method work. It's not so much about the original Ivy Lee method, but it's just the principle and the philosophy behind it, to really focus in on what is truly important to you. Well, thank you very much for watching this video, and it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.